Welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast, and welcome back to the States, Javier. How does it feel to be back in Las Vegas? You still haven't gone home yet.
No, I haven't got home. I'm in Las Vegas, my second U.S. home.
Are you near the Strip, or are you like off in one of the surrounding towns?
For the first time, I'm actually in an Airbnb instead of the hotel. And,
Okay.
it's like I haven't even been in the first time ever. I've always been in the casinos already by now and doing my thing, which I love. But this time around, I'm not even interested. Amazing. It's like coming from a degenerate, for sure, degenerate gambler like myself to be in this position now where I don't want to do it. It's pretty amazing to have the mental strength to say, nah, I'm done losing my money. I'm Airbnb. And I like it.
It's like me when I quit smoking. I don't want to go hang out in the smoking section to remember what I want to do. So yeah, totally got that. I quit that a little bit over a year ago, so I'm with you on that, Av.
Yeah, if I decide to go back to it, I will. But I've never done this in all the years I've been in Vegas. I did do it with the Daniel Allen fight, but that was only a couple of days. Here I'm already I'm going on my third, fourth day. But I was in a casino, and I did walk around the casinos, and I did think about gambling when I was with Daniel Allen. I didn't for the first time ever, and this is the first time ever I had to pay for a hotel. Though I never had to pay for a hotel because I used to gamble so much. I got free rooms, free food, free everything. This is the first time I had to pay on the Daniel Allen time when he fought, and this time around, I'm not even at a casino. I'm at an Airbnb, and I like it. I like where I'm at. I like the new change, and let's see. Let's see what happens. I have a whole month left. Let's see if I last long enough where I don't go.
You have a free plug, Airbnb. Thanks to Javier Mendez. He's got your back. I use Airbnb a lot all over the world, Jav. I mean, when I go to Europe, I use it. I prefer it to hotels because I might want an extra bedroom. I might want some space. There's something different about being in a hotel. I don't know. But you're here for a reason. And the big reason we didn't announce it last podcast, the big exciting reason, everybody, is you're training Umar Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, we're training Umar for a fight. We don't have an opponent that's officially announced yet, but Umar is training for a fight, and I'm here for that reason. And hopefully soon the UFC announce the opponent, but as of right now, it's TBA. But he is scheduled to fight. We are here to train to fight. We just don't know who.
That division's had some interesting back and forth, and even the current champ, Sean, wanted to go up and fight Topuria. What do you even think about that fight? I don't see him manhandling Topuria for any reason.
I trained yesterday, and Topuria was working out in the UFC training center. Guy's pretty solid. He's pretty solid, man. I don't know. I haven't seen Sean O'Malley personally, so until I see him personally, like I seen Topuria personally, I'll make my judgment then. But I can tell you that I'm very impressed with Topuria.
Yeah?
Yes.
You get to talk to him at all, or just like...
No, he was being filmed. They were filming him. I don't know him. So I didn't talk to him. I just, the thing about the UFC PI, is everybody comes and they have rehab, they have this. It's a great place to train, but there's only one thing is it's hard to really prepare because sometimes your opponent's friend may be there or your opponent may be there, which they try not to cross, direct these guys at the same time. But sometimes, you may have a coach that has two fighters and he's there for one fighter, but he happens to be the coach of the fighter you're fighting. So he might be there and watching you. So, and that's one of the only things that you got to be careful about because, there is such a thing as the edge, and that's from learning what the other guy's working on. And, it's a chess match, so it's something that's very important to not let the other guys know that you're fighting, know what you're doing because they're going to prepare for you. They know, and the last thing you want is someone to prepare for your biggest weapon that you're planning on using for that particular fight.
Same thing in all pro sports, same thing in football. When people are allowed to do press for football, like I come down and I film an AKA before, and I don't film Habib's personal private training to be re-aired, if anything for him personally, but never to be put on YouTube, never to be given out, because then someone can watch you and go, oh, he has a tendency. Oh, I see where I'm going to get him. He just goes there. His subconscious drives him. He always goes to the left. I'll be waiting for him with a counter. And the same thing with football. They only let you watch like the workout, just kind of like when they're doing the bear walk and all the warm up at AKA. all the basic workout stuff, push-ups and all that. But the actual specialized training for them, we never put that out there, right?
No, no,
and that's all to the UFC. Nobody wants it. You can't reveal what you're doing. I'm
no.
sure, fans would love to see that, but maybe they wouldn't get it. Maybe it would take some adjusting to say, what am I looking at anyway? So how's your training been going with Umar so far?
I was only yesterday. He looked fantastic. I mean, we were training some in Dubai when he showed up there last 3 weeks ago. So we have been training a little bit. So he's been training. So he's been training in preparation for a potential fight. First, we had a fight. We didn't have a fight. And, it's kind of hard because, being how good he is, being that he's not even in the ranking, it's kind of hard for anybody in the top five want to fight him and risk their chances because, we've had this with Habib, we've had it with Islam. They're in the same boat. I don't know if people remember that, but Habib was in the top 11 or something like that before he got moved up. Islam, the same thing. And it's just a matter of when the UFC can get somebody to fight these guys. And, you go into the fight injury free and you can perform, So Umar, the last time was supposed to fight Corey Sandhagen. And obviously you've seen in the sparring video that he threw his shoulder popped out, So there goes the fight, So now you're talking about a potential, comeback fight already. And I'm sure that, Corey's probably thinking, well, I've given my shot. I'm not going to risk my ranking, unless the UFC puts him in a predicament where he has to risk it. But that's what people do. They have to take care of their opportunities to fight for a title, and they do what they can. So for Umar, he's just ready to fight whoever. He's not going to care who they put in front of him, but he definitely wants a top five guy. But unfortunately, we won't be getting a top five guy on this one. I know we're not. But we're going to get somebody who I don't know as of yet because we won't know until the UFC announces it. So
the top five guy space is kind of like prime real estate. You've traded up to finally get there by winning your fights, and you're like, I don't know if I want to let it go yet. Everything's going so good right here. I want to stay in the top as long as I possibly can. But then Dana will make you fight in a lot of cases.
Well, not make you. He can't make you do anything. Dana can offer you fights.
Correct.
You can decline them, but if you decline enough of them, you extend your contract. You can't continue to think that you're on a 2-year deal or 4-fight deal or 6-fight deal. If you turn down a fight and they make reasonable attempt to get you the fights and you still turn them down, then they have the right to, push your contract further up because they offered you declined. So your contract's still active, let's say another 6 months, so that's what happens. So there is those things as a fighter. You want to burn up your contracts as fast as possible so you can make the maximum amount of money because especially if you end up on a winning note, Umar is on a 4-fight win streak, 16-fight undefeated career. So for him, the more fights he gets, the more, adds to his zero, So it's going to just be a big deal for him later on. So, he has to fight whoever he can and whoever they give us, we'll fight. And then hopefully, again, the next fight, I'd like for him to fight one more time if the UFC gives us that opportunity. And then I'd like for him to fight for the title. But the next guy has to be a top 5 guy.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Like Habib went through, said that he had a couple of injuries, just like Umar did. And part of his journey, same journey as Habib. Islam didn't have the same. He went pretty linear. He didn't have any hang-ups or anything.
No, Islam was no injuries or nothing like that. Habib got injured or something. But then all of a sudden, they act like you're an injury machine. It's like Umar had been injured 2 times, and both times, in actuality, were not really done in training. They were done outside of training, and then they just didn't get better. They got worse, because he's preparing for a fight, and that's what happens, It's part of the game, It's an unfortunate part of the game, but it's part of the game. All you can do is be ready to fight for whoever they put in front of you. You can't bitch and complain. You just got to fight, and you have to win. And Umar is not complaining. He just wants to fight somebody. He doesn't care. Fight whoever you're going to fight me. Eventually, his attitude is, I'm going to keep winning, and eventually you're going to have to give me the shot. And I'm not saying the UFC doesn't want to give him the shot. I'm saying the other people that don't want to risk their situation, I'm giving him an opportunity. And I don't blame him. If I was managing the top 5 guys, I would be like, nah, we don't. What does he do for us? He doesn't. And he doesn't. He doesn't for them, other than it's a payday. But beating him is a big thing, but not as far as the ranking goes, because UFC will go, well, you beat Umar, but he was number 11 or number 12, so it doesn't really justify you getting a title fight. But the funny thing about this ranking, okay, this is the funny thing, it doesn't matter. The UFC is going to do what they want to do. What's going to be best for the promotion. So even if you do fight Umar, number 11, and you're spectacular in your fight with him, guess what? If they want to do what they want to do next, they can do it. There's no rules on how they govern their who gets a title shot or not. Come on, they've been doing this forever, and they know what they're doing. They're going to make the fights that make the most sense. Is going to create the most eyeballs. And what is it at the end of the day that's more important to a promotion that's into making money? They're all into making money, but what is making money, right? So whatever fight is going to give them the most money is what they're going to do, and rightfully so. You can't blame.
Well, good point is like Benoit Saint Denis, he's jumping up to fight. Looks like that's still on the Dustin Poirier, and that's a jump. I mean, that's not that Poirier is the at the tip top, but he's up there. He's up there in the top 5, I think, and he's jumping all the way up to fight him because he's putting on exciting, devastating fights, and they know that that's going to sell. The UFC knows that this plus this equals sales, equals eyeballs, equals good venue, and that's what they're looking at. And here's what's different too. You've been doing this since the early days. I just listened to your London Real podcast, and that was a great podcast, and people can tune into that when they find it. It's really the beginning of the UFC. There was only so many fighters, like maybe 48 guys rotating. You knew that probably in 2 UFCs, Frank Shamrock was going to fight Tito if he get through the next 2 guys, or Chuck Liddell. Now there's hundreds of guys in a division, or thousands of guys in the world, right? I mean, since then, that's what makes the waiting and the getting and acquiring and getting the title fight so hard now too.
It's a big part of that, because there's so many more fighters, so many great fighters, and so many qualified fighters that it's not easy, and then being that PFL bought Bellator, and now they consolidated their shows, and they went from 16 to 20 something shows. Bellator used to do a year, now they're doing only 8, and so the 8 are international type shows. So, and who knows what they're going to do? How many people from Bellator are going to get cut? I'm sure quite a few. And then what are they going to do with the organization? Probably in a year or so, kill, and that just kills one more promotion. So whatever happens, I hope PFL makes it, because it's like, as a coach, we need promotions to be successful and thriving in order for our fighters to be able to have different avenues. Otherwise, if the UFC is the only monopoly in the game, then there's only so many opportunities that you're going to have. Some good gyms, they have tons of fighters that are UFC worthy, but they won't be able to get the opportunity because the UFC may not see what you see. So they'll go somewhere else, and you want to have those options. And if you don't have those options, a lot of these fighters spent their whole life, their whole dream on trying to be a UFC fighter goes down the wayside because they just weren't good enough in their eyes.
Right. No, there's you had to have another option A, option B, LFA, PFL.
LFA doesn't pay enough. They'll never pay enough.
No. They're just like a feeder. They're a feeder league.
They're happy being a feeder. PFL is a definite one you want. Ryzen, ONE FC, those are the ones. But Bellator, where it's at, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll revise Bellator and make more out of it. But I just don't see how that's possible. I think they bought Bellator for the reason of taking the talent. That Bellator's got a really, really, really rich, not reach. They have a rich talent pool.
Very rich.
Yeah, very rich. They have a very, very, very rich talent pool to pick from. They bought the archives and they bought the talent. Is what they really did. That's what they really.
They bought the second strike.
Basically, not quite the second Strike Force, because Strike Force was really
really loaded.
Did an unbelievable job there, but Bellator was the next biggest thing, to be honest with you, because a lot of the UFC fighters can fight the Bellator champions, and I can guarantee you they wouldn't win them all. Yeah. They wouldn't, but I think they'll win the majority of the fights, but not all of them.
Right. There'd be some guys they're like, "Ooh, had he got here sooner." Well, a great one. I think Justin Gaethje was basically PFL material at one time before it was the other name that it was before it was called the PFL.
World Series of Fighting.
Yeah, World Series of Fighting. So, yeah, that's where Gaethje came from. Then he came in the UFC, and he was like a beast. And everyone's like,
Michael Chandler came from Bellator.
Right, Michael Chandler came from Bellator. But Strikeforce was the biggest one where, Luke came over, became a champ. DC came over, became a champ.
Ronda
Ronda
Rousey,
became over, became a
Ronda
champ.
Rousey.
Woodley became over, became a champ. It's like, wait a second, like all the champs were sitting over here. There's your answer. But people forget in time.
No, they at that time when Bellator sold, they were thinking, no, UFC number one, bullshit. You know, Strikeforce. I'm sorry, I said Bellator, but Strikeforce has some incredible talent, and now you see it because look at the talent. George Masvidal. They had George Masvidal. They had Nate Diaz. You know, Nick Diaz. Come on.
Yeah,
You know?
that gave you so many
I can go
fights.
on and on with the people that Strikeforce had. Gilbert Melendez. You know, Jake Shields.
Fedor.
They have a shit. They had a shitload of talent, super talent. You know. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
What,
Here we are. We're here at the UFC. Does it feel good to be next to the action? I mean, you feel part of it again, being so far away from it, or?
You know, it's like when I trained Umar, it was really great because I love coaching. I love Umar, and just seeing how much he's made. We've been working, so I don't want you to think that this is my first time working with him. I've been working with him in Dubai when he showed up for a few days here and there. So I've been watching his progress, and we put in some time, but now it's showtime, and hopefully we'll get an opponent soon. We will get an opponent, from what I'm told, but we don't have it official yet. You know, but once the UFC announces it, then I can say it. But till right now, I can't. There's nothing I can do. You know, I'm making something up. You know, and I can't make something up because until it's announced on the UFC website, it's not official. I've said it all the time. You know, but I do know we are training for a fight. We are definitely training.
Yeah. So next podcast, you'll know who it is.
Yeah,
that's what we can say.
Yeah.
So tonight you're going to be possibly having dinner with one of Bruce Lee's very close friends who's got a book. See, I'm going to show you the.
Yeah,
Right
Peter.
here, Peter Chen. And I've been talking to him for a while too. Now this is there's been so many people.
Show that book again so people can see.
Go take a look. You can find it on Amazon, right? And it's called The Last Disciple. So and you're seeing it in reverse writing like I'm showing it in the mirror, but it's called The Last Disciple. Yeah, the picture's right. The picture's right.
Peter knows Bruce. That's I know.
And if you're just tuning in to your younger generation, you're just tuning in to MMA or a casual, it all started with the dynamic, the excitement, the imagination painted by people like Bruce Lee that kind of brought the image of what MMA is today. You know, he didn't start a league, but he had movies where he'd fight different styles like Game of Death. And, you know, back in the 1970s, it was cool to act like Bruce Lee. And like if someone was going to mug you on the street, you just like pretend you knew how to do Bruce Lee martial arts so they run away.
Watch Enter the Dragon's entering scene. Enter the Dragon. You'll see it's MMA. Got MMA gloves. You know, it's he armbarred the guy and then he threw the guy. I mean, no, come on, it was pure MMA and the shorts and the whole bit. Bruce Lee, you know, he was ahead of his time still to this day. You know, and a lot of the things, his mentality, his philosophy. I don't read into his stuff, but I know for a fact, based on what I see, you know, that he was ahead of his time.
Well, how old were you when you first saw your first Bruce Lee movie?
12.
Yeah, I saw previews. I was a little bit younger. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, nothing looked like it on the screen ever. Either it was too much, where they had guys on, you know, tied up on strings and they're flying them across the room, or it was John Wayne, hey Pilgrim, just the one, you know, bar. So Bruce Lee brought the whole image of martial arts to film. You know, you guys would have to be there to kind of get it. But Peter Chen's book is very, very. There's something special we'll announce about it, not on this podcast because I have to have the date and the time on something where you can get it for $1.99 on Kindle, and it's going to be just one day when you can do that. So by our next podcast, and we'll also have an update probably on Umar by then. How was now going back to your whole trip? How was your whole trip in a nutshell to Dubai? Longest you've ever stayed there?
Longest at one particular time. Yes, I think so. I was going to be there 6 months, but of course this fight came up. But yeah, no, it's an unbelievable experience. Unbelievable on the amount of people and the amount of bonds that I've made and the business connections that I've made. Very special, very special. It's until you've been there, you know, you really can't and shouldn't say, you know, what your experience, you know, or what you think about Dubai and UAE until you've actually been there. You know, and that's why too many people over here, they do the fake news, you know, thing, and then they'll start talking, you know, things that they don't know anything about, you know. So for me, you know, it's like I said, you know, I can speak only from my experience in UAE is the safest country in the world, and the hospitality there is incredible. Hospitality wise, I've received hospitality in many countries like Dagestan, Uzbekistan, incredible hospitality, incredible hospitality. But as far as safety, nowhere I've been, nowhere I've been in the world is I feel safer, than Dubai, or cleaner than Dubai. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city, and the amount of brothers that I met there, and brothers, I mean friends, because like I said, I'm saying brothers now. It's just incredible. It's incredible, and for anybody that has ambitions to do something with their life and really make an impact in the business world, that's a great place to start, because every day, if you're in the right connection field, you're meeting very important people on a daily basis. I mean, I met so many millionaire, billionaire guys on a daily basis because of the group I'm hanging around with, And if you're business minded and you have the right idea and you have the right, connection, you have the right approach, you can make something of it, And I've been trying, and I'm getting close, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm not giving up either. I'm closer than I was the last.
I'll come out to Vegas and help you do it in Vegas, and then you'll have it in both. But I was just saying, you talked to so many people. I mean, Russell Peters, famous comedian, and then you had the famous YouTuber that acts like a janitor. Was it Vasily?
Anatoly.
Anatoly. I'm sorry, Anatoly, who does all the pranks where he comes and lifts the super heavy weights, like millions of followers. Mr. Your friend Honey Rambod, and then you had a Mr. Olympia, I believe it was.
Two Mr. Olympias.
Big Ramy,
Big Ramy, and Hadi Chapun. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Hadi. Yeah, I took pictures with them and hung out with them and stuff.
GSP. Yeah,
GSP is a gentleman. GSP is a great guy. Another one that I love being around is Hensel Gracie. He's just a great individual, and and also with brother Abdulmanam, who is the owner of Palm Sports, that does the Warriors, MMA fights under the CEO Fuad Darwish. And Fuad is like my Habibi. With Habibi is like we're basically, you're like your guy. That's your guy. That's your dude. And
right.
we say Habibi, but Habibi is a term of endearment. Like, this person's special. So Mr. Fuad is my Habibi. And I have a lot of confidence and faith in him, and we have a lot of great connection. So when I hang out with those guys, it's really, really, really incredible feeling to be around such powerful people. But they're so kind, so kind. Abdul Manam is so kind. It's just incredible. And every time I'm with him, I swear, if I'm in a place where people are coming around, he gets an average of between that hour and there, 10 to 20 people approaching him, either wanting a picture with him or wanting to discuss something with him, because he's such a kind.
That's pretty awesome. And then your drivers are all the drivers. I know both of them. They're always with you. They always seem to be there, at least in the photo.
Well, I don't look at him like that. He's just he's my boy.
No, Amir's I don't think of him as a driver. Amir, I said,
he's not a driver. He works for he's a government.
Right.
Works for the government. He's not, but he's my guy. He's my guy. Every time I'm there, he's my guy. He protects, he watches out for me. The do's and don'ts.
The customs and
customs. Don't do this. Don't do that. So I learned a lot from him, and I will continue to learn a lot from him. And because the bond that him and I have is for life. And I love that.
He's great. He took Usman and I to the mall to go shopping. I had to get something for my wife, and he just treated us to burgers, and he's a good laugh and really smart guy, pretty wise guy. Knows a lot.
Yeah, he's well connected. Amar's well connected. Knows a lot. And on this last trip, I met another one, Dr. Warren Chang. Who is, man, that guy. If people think I'm nice, you're nothing compared to Dr. Warren Chang. He is, man. He's incredible. This guy, I can't explain how generous and how warm-hearted, how kind-hearted he is, and it all comes from having a great mother. Dr. Warren Chang he's the man. He's in my Instagram. I posted him on there, like where I put behind me, his heart's as big as Burj Khalifa, because his heart's incredible. He just a beautiful man, and I relate to him because he listens to people. He listens to the advice they're being given, what kind of talks they have. And next thing you know, he'll come up and say, hey, I know this person. You want me to come to you? Boom. And he'll do something. You're like, what? Where the hell did that come from? It's like he listens, and then he doesn't interrupt. He's so connected, and his mother is such a beautiful lady. One day I want to meet her for darn sure, but he's so connected. He does so many things for people. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Warren. He's beautiful. And I reordered the tripod I lost because he gave me a tripod for my phone so I can do the podcast better. I lost it. so
Yay! You finally get a tripod.
I did the same thing again, and now you can see I'm off angle a little bit because I like you see this shirt here, and you say it's like, okay, why is something? Because I'm off. I know how to straighten it properly. It's not on a table. It's kind of like. Bottom line is that I got another tripod coming, so hopefully I'll do my first podcast. Actually, my second one, the last one.
Yeah, you're good to go. Maybe we'll have some special guests. I mean, you're in Vegas, and so what is it now? The next rest of the week, just as we roll this out, you're going to be training him 4 or 5 days a week.
6 days a week. 6 days.
6 days a week.
Yeah, and then having fun while at it. No gambling though. Just great food, great company. And hey, there's a lot of great people here. It's like I just enjoy life, and if you're not enjoying life, then find out what you need to do to enjoy life because we're only here once, and every day is a special day. So every day you're alive, think of ways to make your life better, that's what I'm on board. I'm on making my life better. I've been fortunate and, for many, many years to not have a job because my love is coaching. So there's no job, it's find the love. You don't have a job.
I understand that 100%. My dad was and I can say that his whole life, he was offered a big business job to be in charge of all the schools in New England for all the, but it was like a corporate, looking at analytics and slideshows or whatever, not back in those days, but the equivalent of paperwork and meetings. And he's like, I want to be near the game. I want to be in the game. I want to be in the sport. So he gave it all up to become a PE teacher then so he could all the different sports in school. Yeah. And I said that guy, and all he talked about was sports. All he loved was sports. He had no other interest, nothing else. So yeah. if you're doing exactly that, you're doing exactly what you love. And many people's jobs are, I'm doing it because it has benefits. I'm doing it because it pays X amount of dollars.
Well, look what's happening to me. Look at my life in Dubai. I mean, come on, I was there 4 months. I didn't train Islam maybe 2 weeks, but he had a whole team already that was there. So I was there 2 weeks. The rest of the time I spent meeting important people and old brothers that I've been involved with. And I met new people. I met the Sheikh Hamdans. They're basically cousins of the Prince Faza, mm-hmm. And I've been hanging out with them, having an incredible bonding experience with them, and just laughing. They're so funny. They're so genuine. I've never met so many beautiful guys than these two brothers. I mean, they're like, wow. I wish I had a brother like they have each other, and how they hang out. They do everything together. They're so humble, and man, it's just a great relationship that I built with these two guys, and I don't want it to ever stop because they're special. It's like Maktoum and Rashid. Hamdan. They're they have a jiu-jitsu coach. That Raphael. He's awesome, man. I have another guy that I don't know if you guys see my Instagram. I'm always after this guy called Omar because Omar did some hexes, like had a cobra. A picture with me in India. He's got a cobra, and the cobra's like, I didn't post.